Hello there, and I am filming this on New Year's Day 2021, and I probably won't post it to my channel until tomorrow morning. However, I wanted you to know, in case you hadn't noticed, I did take a month off from YouTube, from making videos on this channel anyhow. And it was because I just needed a break. I've been through a hard time. You know, I hear people saying, Happy New Year, 2020 was just so terrible, and what do we expect in 21? I don't know what we expect in 21. I just know that 2020 was a little more terrible for me than a lot of these people who are just talking about COVID, because not only did I have to deal with COVID much of the year, but also my house burned down September 8th, and that just made things a whole lot worse. So suddenly I didn't have a place to go be isolated in, and I had to be thrust out into the world. And so it was a crazy, crazy year from then on. I spent 2 months in hotels, and I spent a month in my van, and then I was loaned this lovely travel trailer by the local Indian tribe, Native Americans. You're not supposed to say Indians, but yeah, the tribe. They loaned me this trailer, and I'm so grateful for it, because now I'm in a place where it's warm and I can do normal things again, and I so appreciate that. I have a little stability, little warmth, things are feeling better. And I guess when I got in here at the beginning of December, I just wanted to relax. I mean, I had had a very bad year, especially since September, and I just needed to relax and unwind, and I didn't make any videos. So, sorry about that, but it was good for me. And so I wanted to tell you the 3 books that I did read during the month of December were really just the books that I needed to be able to finish the 2020 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. And I want you to know I finished. I'm so excited. I finished the challenge on December 29th. So the first book that I read last month was the autobiography of Blackhawk. And the second one was A Gentleman in Moscow. And the third one was Single Gay Christian, because in the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge we had to read a book about someone who is non-binary or trans, and so I just figured this might fit the prompt while at the same time fitting my religion. And I was really impressed by the young man who wrote that book. He was very young, only 26, but he had decided that he had to be celibate, so I guess that's a little spoiler, except that he mentions it at the very beginning of his book. That book, in case anyone is wondering, was published by InterVarsity Press, which if you're a Christian, you probably know about InterVarsity fellowships at the college campuses. And so the InterVarsity Press is like the publishing venture for that group. Anyhow, so I read that one. That was the one that I finished at the very end of the month. And he was very, very insightful. Very, very insightful for a 26-year-old, very devoted to the Lord. And I ended up liking this author, Gregory Coles, quite a bit. But the other 2 books that I read during the month of December were also extremely good. I mean, A Gentleman in Moscow, it's fiction, of course, about a man who was sentenced to live in the hotel where he dwelled. He was given actually a pretty bad room at the top of the hotel, and at the same time he was free to go anywhere in the hotel so long as he didn't step out on the streets of Moscow. So that was a fantastic novel. If you haven't read it yet, I very much appreciate it, and I recommend it to anyone at all. The first book that I read was the one about the autobiography of Blackhawk, and he killed so many people I started thinking of him as a serial killer, although it was just done in war, you know, and it was his culture, the Indian tribes who were battling between themselves, and then along came the white people, and he gave the white people a lot of respect, but then there was a war with them too. So I would recommend that for anyone who wants to know more about the history of the United States. So that was December. Let's talk about January. I do have plans for reading in January, of course. I'm planning to do the 2021 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. So most of the books that I'm planning to read are definitely going to fit for that challenge. And the first one that I am reading, where did I put it? Okay, here it is. You've probably seen this before. Charlotte's Web. This book I actually was given during the time that I was first recovering from the fire, I could say. It was at a shelter, not a shelter, but it was a place set up by the Red Cross to help fire victims. And this was being distributed there, and they had a whole box of them, so they said, go ahead and take one, even though I'm not a kid. But you know how I am. When it comes to books, I'm kind of a kid, and I love the Newbery Medal List books, and I still want to read all of them, although I'm nowhere near having read all of them. I've read quite a few. This one was a Newbery Honor book in 1953, the year after I was born, and so I figured out the date of this publication was exactly, well, it was like when I was 3 months and a few days old. I can't remember how many days, but yeah, I was 3 months old when this was published. Anyhow, I've read it before. This is actually a reread. I read it back in the 1970s when I was going to college in Redding, California. I took a children's literature class, and this is one of the assigned books, and I remember liking it a lot then. So I guess I'm going to like it a lot this month. I'm about to start reading that one. And the second fiction that I plan to read is going to be an audiobook. It will be The Girl with a Pearl Earring. I was going to read this one a year or two ago, didn't get to it, kind of still want to read it, so I got the audiobook, and I'm going to start listening to the audiobook very soon now. I tried to start listening to it last night as I was going to bed, but I unfortunately fell asleep, and all I remember was the announcer at the beginning of the book telling me that it was an Audible book. And then I guess I passed out. I was so tired. So yeah, that's going to happen. And then the third fiction that I'm going to read is another audiobook. It's Murder on the Orient Express. I'm doing these all for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge in 2021. Kind of excited about reading that. I have in mind possible goals someday to read all of the books in the Hercule Poirot series that Agatha Christie wrote, but I'm far from having done that, and I don't know exactly when that would happen. So the next fiction I want to read is actually a hard copy. I started to read this one, I think it was last year, or no, it was the year before. It was 2019. I had a goal of reading this one, 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So I lost this book. I was living in my van at the time. I was reading it and I lost it. I wasn't very far into it, so I'll just start over again. Obviously I found it, so it's on my reading list this month. And I think that covers all the fiction that I have planned to read. Now I do have some nonfiction that I'm going to be reading. First of all, I am going to be reading a Christian book called, oh my goodness, I've already got a mark on the cover. That's terrible. It's The Purpose-Driven Life by Rick Warren. Pastor Rick Warren does the Daily Hope broadcasts from his blog, and I enjoy listening to him, so I want to read that book. It's a 40-day devotional, so I will start it now, but I will not finish it probably until next month. When I get done, I have another book that he wrote called The Daniel Plan, also a 40-day devotional, but this one is devoted to eating good foods and hopefully losing a little weight, because to be frank, you might notice just from looking at my cheeks, my goodness, I mean, I went through the COVID lockdown thing, and then I had my home burned down, and I just totally lost control of my eating and gained not all the weight back, but a little bit of it. And I need to go back the other way and lose some weight. So the final book that I'm planning to read right now in January is this one. It's a diet book called The 8-Hour Diet. It's about intermittent fasting. And I have tried that before, and I will do it again. So that's all that I have planned for this coming month. And I don't want to lay on too many books because I want to be able to finish what I intend to finish. You know, I want to make progress and hopefully get through the 50 books for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge again. And I've also got a Newbery book challenge that I will be doing, and I'll probably tell you more about those in other videos, but I want to keep this kind of short, and I've already talked a lot, as we know, so I will just go ahead and sign off for now, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you in another video. Thanks for listening. Bye.